Oh, the less said about that, the better. Right, so hello everyone. This is something a little bit different that we're going to try today, but we'll see how it goes. I'm sure it'll be fine, right? Today we are joined by the wonderful Dave, Mr. Drinks Enthusiast, Mr. Chairman's Reserve, Mr. Man of Mystery, all sorts, wears great shirts. I don't know, I've run out of things. You said big you up, Dave. I don't know what else you want me to say.
No, you're just saying everything that's common sense, but carry on.
Mr. Bounty, Mr. All round.
Mr. Manchester Rum Fest, you left that one out?
Oh shit, yeah.
Good start.
I just lost 10 tickets.
Right, 4 out of 5's not bad.
So I guess we, given the videos we've done so far, myself and Andy have been kind of like geeking out on rum stuff a little bit and talking about specific brands and production methods and stuff like that. And we figured that it would be quite nice to maybe like branch out a little bit and think about actually some of the people behind the bars, behind the brands, and just like some notable names in hospitality as a whole, given that most of them are going to have a lot of very valuable insight that we were sure everyone would like to hear. So Dave, obviously your name sprung to mind right off the bat, given that we work in a rum bar and we're constantly kind of reaching out to people to try new products, want to know about competitions that are going on, events. You always somehow seem to be involved in just about everything. your name always pops up or you're always just there. So I guess if you wanted to give a bit of a brief introduction for people listening that might not have met you before, don't know you, like, who are you? What do you do? What are you involved in? For me personally, just off the top of my head, trying to think about, giving a bit of a bio for you, there's almost too much to mention, so.
I think.
All right, so you might want to edit this to make it more precise, but basically I'm a bartender by heart. So I started in the trades when I was 18. Up to 32 on Thursday, so good 14 years or so now. And a lot of what I did, I worked in a variety of different places that did, cocktails to food-led restaurants, independents to pub companies to big chains. And it gave me a really good opportunity, very, very young, to understand how this industry worked. So, I working with budgets, large amount of staff to trying to balance everything from, I used to work at the shopping centre, the Trafford Centre in Manchester, which was horrendous in winter when it was Christmas time, but dead in summer because you have no windows. Yet you still got to work out how to fill a 240-seater restaurant. So it's invaluable insight. But the thing is, at that place, I actually got quite bored. And that's when I started Drinks Enthusiast back in 2011. So even that's 9 years old this year. That was basically me getting out in front of people like yourselves, smugglers, to, chat, try something new, to see a cocktail on social media, which obviously back then was still quite new. There was no Instagram. Twitter was huge. Facebook is Facebook, but it got me trying new things, meeting new people, getting out to Liverpool, Leeds, Chester as well, and seeing what everything else was. And that caught the eyes of different brands because I was getting out to places like a rep would. So weird enough, the first rum I ever looked after was actually Atlantico from the Dominican Republic. It was part of a company called Boutique Brands, and they needed some help. Not just with the rums, but they had some gins, like G-Van gin, selling a tequila as well. And they needed someone who could go out and be passionate about something they like. And I actually quite like Atlantico. I've still got a lot of their old bottles here. So I was like, yeah, of course. I'd never thought of being a rep before. And it got me to sort of understand how the other side of the bar worked. So since then, obviously I'm no longer with Atlantico, but after 2 years of sort of working with them and understanding how, how cocktail competitions work, or how developing a cocktail menu with you guys, what needs to be done, how long it takes, because you guys know it doesn't take 24 hours, even though it should do.
God knows we've tried.
Oh, everybody tries, and everyone says the same thing. Yeah, we'll get back to you tomorrow. Don't you worry. No, you won't. But obviously, because I'm able to learn a lot, and not just obviously big companies like yourselves, small independents, pub chains, starts to understand everything, and the portfolio of the brandings they've got starts to develop. So Emporia Brands came on board, which is my biggest client with all the brands within it. So that includes St. Lucia Distillers with Chem's Reserve, Bounty, and Apple Rodney. Obviously, Clermont came on board from Martinique at the start of this year, which obviously we're going to relaunch again. It's already been in the UK, of course, but obviously COVID's hampered that a little bit. And obviously there's Batanga Tequila, Cabernet Sauvignon liqueurs, there's a vodka, there's an Armagnac, there's Calvados, and so on and so forth. And obviously there's gins, not from Emporia, but I look after Mason's gin from Yorkshire and Nordes from Spain. Two different styles. So the brand identity is always sort of growing. That's the main thing. But to spin off that, as you quite rightly said, there's fingers in many pies. So at the moment, obviously Rumfest or Manchester Rumfest is in its 4th year. So when it happens on August 29th, fingers crossed, that'll be the biggest show in the north. Obviously Ian Burrell's got the biggest in the UK at the moment in London. I'm not officially saying mine's the second biggest. I know that the travelling Rumfest could have some bigger numbers compared to me at the moment, but it's grown quite large in the last couple of years for sure. So that's a great opportunity for me to sort of bring these new rum brands together and obviously show off what the North's got to offer as well. And you guys, I'm sure, know how difficult it is sometimes to get brands to realise it's not all about London. Why do you do something with us up north and we can show you what Liverpool's got? And that's exactly what my mindset for Drinks Enthusiast is all about. So yeah, Rumfest was created. I used to run the shop for Riddles Emporium, which we were very honoured to be nominated for a couple of awards. IWSC, the Think Rum, Best Independent Spirit Retailer in the UK. We lost out to Whisky Exchange, so I'm not kicking myself too much on that one. To be in the same league as someone like that, that's amazing. Obviously, that's now closed. We let our lease expire for that one because the area that we're in going to get redeveloped and it wasn't going to work for us. And obviously, it's the same area, but I have my Marigot Bay bar as well, which is a Caribbean themed cafe. So not just rum focused, but I had Caribbean beers, Caribbean nibbles like plantain chips. I got literally a live radio station from Jamaica playing in the background. You couldn't get any more authentic. But again, because it's the same area, the whole bit's been redeveloped. So unfortunately, it was not as long as I wished it to be. But in hindsight, it's probably a good idea it wasn't anymore. In reality, yeah. But anyway. So yeah, I've sort of always tried to have something extra to really focus on, whether it's an event, a festival, a bar, a shop. I've had pop-up bars at Pizza Express. We did an Italian cafe a couple of years ago with a grappa producer called Nardini. We did that for 6 months in Manchester. A great opportunity to show what grappa can do for people when they realise that it's actually quite tasty. And we could do the same with rums. Everyone freaks out over overproof rum. Yeah, you stick it in a daiquiri. Oh, it's really nice, that. Yeah, it's very nice. And then they freak out because they just presume it's going to taste horrible, but it's not. And that's exactly what I try and do. Whether it's the agency, whether it's the festival, whether it's the shop bar, whatever. It's just to get people to think about things in a different way, so they're not freaked out. Bacardi is my go-to favourite. I used to do a residency at Lot 91 in Manchester, and we always had Bacardi because it was their house pour go-to. And we always poured it out, but I never showed them what the bottle was. It was like behind the barrel, shall we say. And you ask the question, what rums do we like? Oh, I love Kraken. Oh, I love Old J. You're thinking, okay, so you like spicy rums. What about anything that's not spicy? Oh, yeah, I'm not a fan of Bacardi. I don't like it. It's too cheap and cheerful. It's like, okay, cool. Well, here's your first rum. And then they'll give it a go, they'll smell it, they'll taste it. Oh, yeah, that's quite nice. Yeah, light. I get some butter, get some like lemongrass. Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, it's Bacardi. And you see their faces, you're like, but I don't like Bacardi. It's not even a rum, is it? It's not. I don't like rum. But you just liked it without realising it. And that's exactly what I love doing, is getting people outside their comfort zone. Because it might surprise them how they like something that notoriously they wouldn't. Whether years ago they had a bad experience or they've been told on social media, no, avoid it, it's horrible. And that's exactly what I try and dismiss. It seems to work.
Yeah, I think that's almost like one of the most satisfying parts of my job right now. Like, I really like doing rum masterclasses with people. And when you just kind of see that switch go, you know, like, you get some people that show up and even the prospect of drinking neat spirits is quite daunting. Drinking any kind of white spirit without any mixer is scary, or, you know, these darker rums that are perceived as being, you know, like really quite harsh and heavy and, you know, too much. They taste through, like, you can get someone to taste through a range. And the amazing thing about rum is obviously there's such a wide spectrum to work through. And there's so many different elements, and people, it's just nice to see people enjoying different ones, and people realizing that actually just because the color isn't, a color isn't necessarily a reflection of, you know, how nice it's going to taste, or even the ABV, like the strength isn't necessarily a reflection of how enjoyable it's going to be, how, you know, smooth or funky or whatever. It's really nice just to kind of like pull back that curtain and just say, you know, you've only just scratched the surface so far. You kind of, you know, your predispositions up to this point and what you think something's going to be like. It's certainly in rum anyway. It's completely
in a way.
So,
something I've started to say in the last couple of years, well, I didn't really realise this, but I've been told I have done, is I usually start to use the analogy of don't judge a book by its cover, so don't judge a bottle by how it looks. Whether it's the colour of the liquid itself, the packaging they use. Kraken's a great example of that. It's got 2 handles, so it must be good. No, it's got 2 handles, and you probably put it in a candle afterwards, you know. But the liquid, you think, it's jet black. I mean, this is not a negative towards Kraken. Obviously, Kraken have done very, very well. There's a reason why people buy it. But they buy it because of the way it looks, not of what it could taste like inside. And you don't do that with a book. You don't look at the cover and look at the back, and you need to read it to understand it. And if you like it or not, then you're good. You don't look at a bottle and think, I don't know what it is, so I'm not going to like it. Well, you don't know until you try it. So it's exactly the same analogy, just a bottle, not a book. And when people seem to think of it like that, they're like, oh yeah, I've thought of it like that. Well, yeah, that's why we're here now, to say stuff like this, to put you at ease more than anything else.
Yeah, it's certainly, for me, it's like a big part of like job satisfaction. It's just getting someone to, you know, try something that they wouldn't necessarily usually try, but from what they've described that they like, you go, oh right, try this, you're really going to enjoy it, and then they turn around and go, yeah, it's really good. And kind of expanding people's minds, like it's certainly very
not expanding, blowing people's minds
on the odd occasion.
So it's quite interesting then. So in terms of your career up to this point within hospitality, I guess you've never, almost from the sounds of it anyway, you never really had like clear cut goals on what you want to do, right? You've basically just kind of like jumped in, followed paths that you found interesting, and then before you knew it, more and more things have just kind of picked up for you, and that's
I mean, I think a lot of it, looking back at it right now, it's been defined on what the trends are at the time. So obviously, I will hold my hands up. Gin paid a lot of my bills at the beginning of all this. Gin was getting bigger. Everybody was going to start making their own gin, and they have done it. Everybody wanted gin tastings, so I hosted gin tastings. And gin tastings obviously got me new listings, or if it was a private tasting, I got paid, and that's what, you know, paid the rent, shall we say. And don't get me wrong, I still love a good gin. I mean, I still look after gins to this day with Masons and Nordes. You know, I've had Warner Edwards in the past. I've had G-Vine as well. And I've been to many gin distilleries in the UK. You know, I want to understand what gin's all about, of course. I'll never dismiss another category, even though my mind is obviously a lot more focused on rum the last several years. But there was a time when obviously tequila was going to be seen as the next big thing. So I took on a mezcal, and it sold relatively well. The price was comical for what it was, granted, but you know, it needed. Everyone was asking, "What tequilas have you got? What raicilla have you got? What mezcal have you got?" It's like, I don't. Well, let me go and get some, and let's do something. You to work with the likes of Creative Pedros or El Gato Negro in Manchester or stuff like that. It's great because that's what people ask for. So I try and adapt what I do to what the customers, and to be fair, what you guys as a bar is after as well. But the last couple of years, especially, my mind and my sort of focus is just been on rum. Wouldn't say 100%. I still, like I say, still have gins, still do the odd Armagnac thing. There's an Armagnac webinar I'm going to do on the 16th of June. Get yourself involved. I've been to Gascony so I can understand what Armagnac is all about. I still need to know other spirits. But people, I suppose, now know me as the guy who does rum, especially with St. Lucia Distillers. The last, 7 years I've been working with them guys. Obviously, that's all I seem to ever talk about is rum as a go-to conversation. And it freaks people out sometimes. Like, a lot about absinthe. So yeah, I actually quite like absinthe. Not just in a cocktail. I'll drink it on its own. Why not?
I think you'll drink anything by itself, Dave.
I'll tell you, the only thing I don't drink is Sambuca. Can't do it.
I'm with you on that. 100% agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but there's something in it. I've never been able to do it really since I was a kid. And I'm not saying I drank loads of it and just got to the point of I can't drink Sambuca. It's just something that doesn't agree with me. I'll flatly say no matter what peer pressure there is at the time.
Strange as well, because like flavour profile wise, kind of like your absinthe and your Sambuca, there's some fairly, prominent crossovers there.
Yeah. So. I don't know, maybe just like the purer stuff, perhaps.
That might be it.
Spent too much time putting like shot glasses in the glass wash that smell like Sambuca. Just really off-putting.
Not telling people to blow out the flame before you drink it.
Yeah, well, that's natural selection.
So obviously up to this point then you've obviously just been, following whatever path you've kind of like stumbled down and just like picked up on things that have interested you. Do you kind of have any sort of like long-term goals or anything else that you're interested in getting into? Is there anything you'd like to basically have done that when you look back on your career, in hospitality, you can think like, I'm glad that I managed to achieve this or I've managed to be a part of that? Is there anything in particular?
Yeah, it's a good question because the moment I'm really proud of right now, shall we say, obviously it's no secret that Gem Reserve as a brand is my favourite rum. And I'm very, very lucky to be representing them as well as St. Lucia Distillers as a company through Emporia Brands for the last 7 years. That's something that a lot of people, a lot of bartenders who have their favourite brands can't ever really get to that point because, 50 bartenders, but it's only one brand. So it's, in a way, natural selection on that end. And it was great timing for me because Gem was just going to expand in the north and, as you quite rightly said, took the opportunities as and when they arrived. Simple as. What I'd like to do in the future, originally having a bar was my goal. I had one. I'd love to have another one. Whether it's the same concept, a tweak, completely different, I don't know. But that's not as much of a priority to me at the moment. The priority for me, I would probably say, is still work with St. Lucia Distillers. But maybe have a bigger role of some sort. Obviously, I'm an ambassador for the UK at the moment. But working a lot more in St. Lucia itself, it'd be great to do something more on the island, shall we say. I spent 3 weeks there last year teaching bartenders on the island themselves, and it's amazing how different the scenario is compared to what we have in the UK. From training programs to understanding the customers. And after what I did last year, there was some opportunities for me to go back, and obviously with COVID, that's not happened. So it's opened my eyes to think, what would happen if I left the UK and still did this for a different country for a whole new challenge? With brands that I personally can really get behind, and obviously have the experience to do it as well. So there's potentially something there. Obviously, with everything that's happening this year, it's not going to be a 24-hour decision, shall we say, but that's potentially something to look forward to for sure.
I think the closest I've ever come to going to St. Lucia is seeing your pictures from whenever you go over. It's certainly not a bad spot to pick to maybe go and try and, do some work for a little bit.
It helps. I'd say one thing that's people always do ask me though is, because I think the only thing I haven't have done is obviously do my own rum itself. At the moment with Rumfest, we should be having our own Rumfest bottling, so limited edition rum with the guys at City of Manchester Distillery, because Dave Rigby, who's the co-owner, is obviously now a contract distiller for rum. So we're looking at doing something with that, and obviously the Rumfest name will be on there, but not me personally. I'd love to do something and have my own rum bottling, with my own name on it, my own idea, paired up with someone like Foursquare or the guys at Worthy Park or guys from Diamond Distillery in Guyana, something like that. Obviously, you need a lot of money or a lot of investment. So I think if I get to the end of my career, I may regret not doing something like that. Not having my own bottle of rum or my own brands that encaptures what I've done over my last, however long I do this for. So I think I'll be good to get to that point, but I've never looked into it properly. I know it's probably going to cost a little more than it should do. So, and I'm a particular person as well. I mean, I'd love to do something with St. Lucia rum within it, but we don't do contract distilling anymore. So I feel like maybe it won't be as good as I wish it to be, but I don't know. It'd be interesting if I ever get to that point to sort of get to the nitty-gritty of what Foursquare could offer, for example, and not just go off what the Dawley's profile is. What's that 14-year-old matured and laid down back in 1999 is all about compared to what it could be now. So I need to sort of really be proper geeky to get into all that. Really would be. Who knows? You might get a new house bought for Spuggers.
That'd be quite nice, I guess, when you're, in like 30 years down the line, you can sit back on a St. Lucian beach and sip a little bit of Chairman's Marsland cask, watch the sunset. So you kind of mentioned in there the fact that you previously owned a bar, and given, for me, I've only been in hospitality like 4 years. It's actually been like 4 years this month. I feel like I was quite a late bloomer to hospitality. Most people get into it, between like 16 and 18 as part-time jobs or whatever, just to keep money ticking over at college or, uni or whatever. And then the people that sort of find the passion for it stick with it. I kind of came in a little bit later on. But again, it was for all the same reasons. There's been a bunch of bars that I went to, and, Smugglers, where I still work now, I'd been in there a bunch of times, and it was just everything about it, the ambience, the atmosphere. The bartenders really knew what they were doing. They were kind of able to guide me towards drinks and trying things that I didn't know that I would like, but they just seemed to know, and I thought that was one of the coolest skills, the fact that someone could just, it's like Andy was saying before, someone just tells you the kind of flavors that they like, or kind of, things they've tried before they like, and bang, there's just a cocktail there in front of you. You didn't have to give them any guidance. They just knew what you wanted. So, when it comes to kind of like bartenders getting more into it and thinking about how they're going to evolve in their career, the natural progression seems to be sort of like, maybe going into ops and working on menus, or being a brand rep, or maybe hopefully one day owning your own place. And it seems like you've kind of touched base, on all those kind of job titles at some point, but particularly the kind of owning of a bar, that one seems like the one that's sort of like a step beyond, given the fact that it involves a lot of the extra stuff that you don't always have to worry about as just like an employee in a pre-existing place. You've kind of got all the structure already there, you're just working within it. So what was the process like for you actually just starting from scratch, and just like opening your own place? Like, how did you come up with the concept, and how did you actually like sort out somewhere to actually like, how did you sort out a place to do it and set up designing the bar and getting in there and getting it operating?
Well, to be honest with you, looking back at it, I'm definitely not saying it was easy, but it's a lot easier than it sounds, I feel. And I think the reason why is because I've opened other people's venues as well. It does help, certain ways to do it, i.e. a time frame of I need to do this by then, this by then, this by then. That helps a lot. If you wing it, you've got no chance. but it's understanding what needs to be done from a legality point of view and the lead time from it. Now, I was talking to a friend of mine who's looking to open something, or his next project, not too sure when, of course. And he asked me the same question, and I gave him an answer for about half an hour. So I'll try and keep it a little bit condensed on this one. But what I said was, look, it took me 10 years. I gave myself 10 years from when I got my personal license in 2008. And obviously that's a 10-year, I suppose, you need to renew it. But I thought, you know what, that'd be great. Give myself 10 years, and by then I'll have my own bar. That's a perfect target. In between all that, obviously I built Drinks Enthusiast, got sort of Rum Fest, built a shop. So that was a bit of a, okay, that wasn't planned. But literally, it'd be what, it'd be last week. Last week, 2 years ago, I actually signed the lease for the bar. And the way I found that, with a week to go, before the 10-year sort of idea was up, I was walking around Altrincham, and I was talking to a commercial agent, what is now a record shop, corner on the same row as my shop was. And I thought, that's perfect. Car park right next to it, so obviously people can start, so it's not drink and drive, but it does help if you've got somewhere to park as well. And it's got 2 floors, so I thought it'd be great because you can do private tastings upstairs, you got a small bar downstairs, and you sort of start to think of how it could look by just being on the outside. And then when I got hold of the estate agents and said, unfortunately, it's already been taken, I was like, well, you take the bloody sign down then. So, what are you after? I said, well, I'd love a bar, but what options are there? Because you obviously need a license, as you guys know, but you need a premises license to obviously have a certain type, whether it's going to be food and restaurants, whether it's going to be a takeaway, whether it's going to be off-trade, on-trade, retail focus as well, all these different options, depending on obviously the council itself, where for me it was Trafford. Anyway, so they got back to me and said, well, we've got this that's just come up. And it was round the corner in like a private square. So I took a look at it, I'm thinking, yeah, you know what? When you're seeing the space, it's completely clear, like the bar easily over there, the toilet there, amazing, get some of this on the wall. You start visualizing. I started to get a bit giddy. You start thinking, yeah, this is perfect. This got a great sun trap for the square itself. It's a bit more secluded, so it's not open to, rowdy teenagers. It's a beautiful square. It's been redone up as well. So you start thinking, yeah, we can do this, we can do barbecues, we can do outside events. It'd be great to stick some signs up here, with, and I thought, you know what? My original concept wouldn't work here. I won't tell you what it is because I know for a fact someone got a big giddy when I gave them an idea. And I thought, shit, if I say anything more now, they're going to nick that idea and run with it. So I won't tell you what it is, but what I did, as in Mariga Bay, was not the original idea I had for a bar. But at the time, in 2018, Mariga Bay is my favourite bay on the island of St. Lucia. But probably the Caribbean itself and what I've seen so far. And I thought that kind of tranquil element of it's hot, it's quiet, it's peaceful, but it's a hurricane hole, so it's no crashing of waves into the beach or into the rocks. It's just like a mill pond. And obviously I stayed there in the Mariga Bay Resort, so I knew exactly what the sort of feeling was like as well. It's that boring that Andy just wants to shoot off. He's going to book a holiday.
Yeah, he just stuck himself on mute there, didn't he? He tried to sneak away for a second. I think he's drank too much rum already.
So the thing is, it's sort of for that. I'm like, you know what? This whole look could work for this. So I took it and said, look, I want to do this. What the landlord think? We agreed, deal. And it took me a month to build the bar, to obviously paint it, make it look as authentic Caribbean. So we're not talking like Revolution de Cuba or Liars Club or even yourselves. Not saying obviously they're not authentic, but to me, that's not my experiences of what the Caribbean actually looks like. If you go to a rum shack over the cliff in St. Lucia itself, I wanted to bring what I saw over here. That's exactly what I did. And the fact that I actually went on a holiday twice during it being built was how impromptu getting that lease was. I went to Jamaica and Barbados for a total of 2 weeks while the bar was being built.
Yeah.
It was that last minute opportunity, but you've got to take it.
Tough life. Sounds like you got a tough life over there, Dave.
I was able to get some great souvenirs, so I've still got them. They're on my walls here.
I can imagine. So did you employ anyone else there, or was it solely you? Like, was it just you behind the bar and running the show, or did you have anyone else that was working there with you?
No, I mean, originally the plan was to actually step aside from running it from the day-to-day point of view. Because obviously Drinks Enthusiast as an agency was still going. The shop was still open at that time as well. And obviously Rum Fest was about to start to get big. So I purposely said I need at least 2 people. I got 2 great guys. One didn't last too long, I'm not going to lie. But Mark did an amazing job of sort of holding the fort. But as it turns out, over the next year, the car park we were next to, the planning permission was put in there to get rid of said car park. I'm like, well, that's not good, because that's our sort of footfall that goes straight through the yard, shall we say, up to there. So that's going to get cut off at some point. All right. And all the development of the square itself, the other plots, the other venues that were being redeveloped were not quick enough. So unfortunately, that hampers a lot of how I could personally grow. So me and Mark ran it for 9-10 months, I think, in the end. And then just before Christmas in 2018, I just said, look, I feel like this could be the last hurrah at the moment, because if Christmas goes well, we've got a great opportunity, but we're the only place that's open in this square right now. Everybody else isn't. What was told to me didn't actually happen, which is a real shame. And the thing is, the thing that annoys me a lot, I'm not going to start ranting about this, of course, but the venue did work. The response I had from both the trade and the consumers, the reviews I had online, to the publications that came in, to the social media, I obviously actively encouraged people to take photos of your drinks and, tell your friends. And they did, and it was great. And I still have the screenshots and still have the publications saved as a bit of a case study, shall we say. But when I open my next bar, this is what I can do. It's just, unfortunately, looking back at it, the wrong time to do it. So, and obviously this is prior to everything that's going on right now. It's just, I think, the wrong part of Altrincham, which is my own fault. And maybe I should have taken a little longer to see how everybody else was doing. But it's so difficult when there's an opportunity, someone else could take that space before you do, because you're trying to get a bit of homework out the way. It's such a cutthroat way, because everybody wants to open something, especially an up-and-coming town like Altrincham, where places get snapped up sharpish. So that's many regrets, but it was an insight for sure. And considering the fact I said, I think it was July 19th I opened, and I've been saying that since day one, and I actually opened on July 19th. There was no delays at all, despite, as I say, going on holiday twice as well.
So is that definitely in the pipeline then, do you think? Are you looking to hopefully get somewhere else at some point? And if you were to open somewhere else, would it be almost like a take 2 of the your previous project, or would it be a different concept and a different idea?
If the space is right, Marigot Bay version 2 would turn up. I've still got the website, I've still got the social media stuff, because I know that it works. If I did reopen it, it would be in a city centre, so either Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds or Chester. They're the 4 cities I know better. But it has to be the right space. And I'd probably say the only thing I'd make different would be I'd offer food as well. That was probably the only maybe negative side I had. I didn't have a space for the kitchen at all. There was no way of implementing one either. But there were always people, maybe perhaps I shouldn't have said the word cafe. It's Marigot Bay Bar and Cafe, so they automatically thought food. I didn't have anything, barring easy, dry goods snacks. Which were actually quite difficult to get hold of on a consistent basis, as it turns out as well. Because Caribbean food, unless it's being freshly made, isn't a big call for it, unless you're in the World Isle food and supermarkets. So it was difficult. So I'd actually do a proper, kitchen profile as well. That's the only thing I'd change for it, though.
I think that would be a lot harder from like an EHO sort of standpoint and stuff like that, obviously, having a kitchen.
Well, I mean, obviously, I still have to have, because you're serving drinks, I still have to have the council come around and do their health checks. I got a 5-star rating. And I actually asked them, if I did food, what do I need to do? And from an insider's point of view, they actually said, I'm glad you're asking us because nobody else does. Like, what do you mean? So, well, they make a kitchen and then presume it's okay. Wow. And when we come round and tell them what's wrong, and then they get annoyed because they've got to spend more money. It's a kitchen, it's not cheap. They'll spend more money to then rectify it, even though they're already open, so they're panicking already. But if you actually just ask us what you need to do and what licenses you need, what you need to do to get our big number 5 tick out of this, then do it, then you'll be fine. We'll have a great relationship. If you need to make changes, we can do it. Like, that's really good to know, because nobody ever thinks of actually asking the council. The guys who make it legal for what you're doing to do.
And the people actually checking it, yeah.
Okay.
The people actually like checking what you're doing. I
Yeah.
think maybe asking them would be the sensible thing to do.
And I'll tell you what, she did save me money. And I'm not talking thousands and thousands of pounds, because I didn't have a restaurant. But she said, if you did all this, if you were to make a kitchen out of what space you have, it will save you loads of money in the long run. It's like, that's good to know. The council aren't there to dash your dreams; they're just there to help you out. So it's great insight from that point of view, which nobody does because they just presume it's dead easy.
Yeah, you think that people that would kind of jump into something like that would have a really sort of rigid game plan, but from the sounds of it, a lot of people don't. They just kind of wing it and see what happens, which seems like quite a daunting prospect to me, anyway. And
I think from a bartender point of view, as you quite rightly say, and I was the same, I love to own my own bar. And now I have, and as I said before, it is easy if you know what you're doing. I said I was going to open July 19th. I made sure my menus were done. I did it myself, and I printed them out. I got a printer who was actually local as well to do it for me. I got the ETA, so I'm like, okay, so they'll actually be around Monday, and I open Thursday. It's a couple of days leeway in case there's a problem. Stuff like that. When's my opening stock order going to arrive? Is everything I need going to be on that stock order? And if not, when do I need to tell them to get it in for me? Stuff like that. I think maybe it helps because of my brand rep as well, but I know things don't happen overnight from a point of view. Or, because I use Nisbets for all my catering. The glass wash, ice machine, the sink as well, all stuff like that. So I need this in by then, so when do I need to order it? Stuff like that. Does everything turn up at once? Do I need to be there? Is it going to be installed? All those kind of questions. But I have to ask there and then to make sure everything was going to run smoothly. I'm not a massive fan of being stressed out, and obviously being away for 2 weeks as well. It's on the other side of the world in a completely different time zone was not going to help.
Yeah.
So it's easier than you'd expect. You've just got to be patient and you've got to have a bit of foresight. That's the only thing I'd ever say to anyone who wants to open their own bar. And don't be arrogant enough to think that this great idea, get your GP, just make sure you have everything you need to do it, and then work out it's going to be cost effective.
Yeah, I think I've been lucky enough to be involved with a few openings for our company, and it's certainly interesting to see like the the very small things that need like changing sometimes, and it's like, right, we're opening on this day, and like how many times those opening dates get pushed back over the course of like, for whatever reason,
something goes wrong or something hasn't turned up.
Or like you're scrambling around like 2 days or a day before you actually have people in the building because the glass washer's on fire or something really like stupid that no one's thought about, or like there's a big hole in the bar somewhere that water is just like pissing through, or something that no one will have paid any attention to whatsoever throughout this whole thing, because there's so many other things to think about, and then those little tiny bits all add up, and then before you know it, you're running around like an hour before you open, trying to sort out things that should have been done weeks before. You know.
There is a lot to think about, and a lot of it happens at the same time as well, which it throws a lot of people off. But I think if you know what needs to be done by the end of that day specifically, you can get through it a lot easier than you'd expect. It's not, don't get me wrong, not everything I did to build that bar was 100%. There were delays in certain things, but because I banked a couple of days of it, I said to the guys who built the bar, it was a clean space. The bar itself had to be built. The frame, the shelving on the walls for the stock. You had to make sure that those bottles weren't going to fall off. So proper wood, not MDF chipboard or anything like that. I had to make sure that there was new plumbing. Technically, it was originally a second part of a cafe. So that was just a seating area. There was no plumbing. So all that had to be done. All new electricity, wire, piping, they call it, new lights. So everything had to be done. There was always something wrong. Because I said to the contractors, oh yeah, it's going to open Monday. It's got to be done by the Friday before. Yeah, on Thursday. But we didn't need to know that. So all of a sudden you're playing it at your own games and you're in demand for it. And it was great. I think everything was done by Monday. So I actually had the photo shoot for all the drinks and the bar itself done on a Tuesday. Those images came back to me the Wednesday. So these went out for the Thursday to open on Friday. Done.
Yeah, I think as long as you leave some leeway for stuff like that, because like you said, when it comes to builders and things, something's always going to be wrong, or there's always going to be a problem. There's always going to be a delay. I don't think I've ever heard of anywhere, regardless of what builders are doing, it ever finishing on time, ever.
Until Mariga Bay Bar and Cafe came along.
Well, yeah, exactly. And that was because you were like, right, I'm going to give them a couple more days, kind of leeway. So
yeah, it works.
It's a smart way to do it.
Starting somewhere fresh like that, almost just having, just the space and having to fully develop in there, and then obviously get all the stock in and figure things out. It doesn't sound cheap. Was it something? Were you part of a team that all invested in it, or was it all yourself? Or did you fundraise for it in some way, or obviously notoriously bartenders, it's not like it's a really high paying sector or anything like that, so people that are out there that are maybe working behind a bar that one day you would think I'd love to have my own, the prospect of trying to actually save money to invest and start from scratch, it just seems like an uphill battle you wouldn't be able to win, so was there anything in particular you did when it came to fundraising for it, or was it something that obviously you thought about years in advance and worked your way to that point?
Like I say, I'd always had an idea in my mind, and the Caribbean idea was quite a relatively short one in comparison to the first concept I have in my mind so far. But because I had a lot of rum here already, that did help for my opening order. I think the value of the opening order, if I had to order it, was about $8,000.
Okay.
And that was not going all out, shall we say. I didn't want to get all the high-end, top shelf stuff all at once, because obviously that bumps up by another 4 figures. But because of everything I'd already accumulated at home, I thought, you know what? I only need to do an opening order for beer, for soft drinks, and maybe the obviously modifiers as well. And bitters. That was pretty much it. And there was still quite a couple of £100, but it wasn't as bad as it would have been. But that was a big thing for me. But when I got a bank loan for this, so it's purely self-done. There was no investors, there was no crowdfunding. It never really crossed my mind either. I do know an investor who wants to work with us at some point, but we've looked at places in Manchester. We've gone to places in Manchester that haven't obviously gone through for whatever reason that I won't go into at the moment. But it's more missing out on the opportunity. So I thought of getting him involved. I thought, you know what, it'd be quite nice for me just to do it myself. But it's a smaller venue, so yes, it's not thousands of pounds, but I think it's still a good 20k. 20 grand's quite a lot. It could have been worse if I had to buy that full opening stock, of course, but I still bought all the furniture. There was like 24 chairs, there was 12 tables. I mean, they're not cheap, especially heavy-duty ones as well. Outside furniture, making obviously everything look good. Paints, the decorations on the wall, to installing a new toilet. The one that was in there was not nice, shall we say. So it had to be wholly redeveloped again, brand new, everything. The back room needed to make sure that was dusted out and redone again. Brand new bar, had to be built. But the only way to know how much it needed was to get as many quotes as possible and then work out, right, if I get this, or if the lease goes through, because you've got a month with the council. I knew the change of, oh my God, what do they call it? Change of hours, change of days I was going to be working or opening the venue. And you have a month for anyone to get back to, any complaints or raise comments regarding it. And
it's not like a licensing thing.
Yeah. And in that month, I priced everything up, no matter how small it would be. And it came to around about, I think it was about 16 grand, but I went for 20 just to give me a little bit of leeway. Things I may have completely forgotten about, or something I can't price up because I don't know until it opens how much it's going to be. For example, insurance. Right. You don't know how much your stuff's going to be valued because you haven't bought it yet. Stuff like that. So it's a lot of money. 20k is not something you save up for over a bartender pay package. I know that for sure. But if you have the belief in doing it, you can get the loan and the bank can support you. Or if you have an investor who you get on with, who likes your passion, like the guy I know, who wants to do something with you. So there was a couple of options for me, and there still is moving forwards. I wouldn't solely invest myself again, though. That's the only thing I won't do. I wouldn't go to the bank and say, I want another loan. I'd rather do it with somebody else.
Any reason why, or just the fact you prefer to have someone else there to bounce ideas off and work with?
I'd probably say it's down to the fact that I don't like spending my own money.
I was kind of half expecting that answer.
I think it's a bit of that, I suppose, but it's also, you do get a second opinion, and it does help a lot more. I'm not saying that I made any bad business decisions because I didn't have anyone there to bounce that idea off. Obviously Mark helped me a lot to understand, because he was there during the day, especially the weekends. I'd pop in the evening, but he could tell me what the response is so far, what's selling, what works. He came up with some great cocktail ideas we did for our rum of the months and stuff like that. So we had a better idea how my business works, and that helped grow it, or potentially would have grown it if it was still going. So it does help to have someone. But it also helps to have someone who understands the back of house stuff as well. The first thing I said to me was, I know about tax. I know I'm going to have to pay tax. Unfortunately. And it's a lot more than you'd ever expect it should be as well. You spend all that money to make an amazing looking bar, and then you get your first quarterly tax bill, you're like, oh, great. Paid all that money on a great opening weekend and only get like a quarter. How's that work? Stuff like that. I adamantly said, I need an accountant who I don't know. I'm not going to be like, oh, can you just do something about it? We've been mates for years. I wanted someone I had no idea about, who was reputable and local enough to actually come round and say, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to pay. That's what you need to pay it by. She helped so much when it came to stuff like that. Pensions. Apparently, everyone's going to have a pension. Apparently, and I had to contribute to it. I'm like, okay, that makes no sense. But I never thought about it. And she told me I had to. It's the law. I was like, right, well, I'm glad you're here. So having that second opinion made me realise that I'm not going to miss that. I'm not going to get fined because I forgot something. Tell me exactly what I want she did. And coincidentally enough, her husband actually works for British Virgin Islands, so there was a Caribbean connection as well.
Nice. Keeping it in theme.
She did bring her back a bottle of Puss's rum, so yeah.
I was going to say, it's all Puss's over there, isn't it? Well.
Oh, yeah.
So we actually never got the chance to come and see you while the bar was up and running. But I think one time when you came into Smugglers, I partook in the longest tasting session I've ever done. So I don't know if you remember this. the memory's quite hazy, but we basically did all chairmans. We did all the chairman's range. Then we did all the Admiral Rodneys, and then we did the St. Lucia 1931s because we've got the 4th, 5th, and 6th edition smugglers. Yeah. So we had all them, but then in between we were doing daiquiris as well, and then we were saying, "Oh, I've got a hurricane in the bar that I do."
120 millilitres of Smith and Cross.
If I remember rightly, yeah, I think it was at 60 ml lemon juice, 60 ml passion fruit like syrup, 120 ml Smith and Cross. That's
what was it? Shake,
shake strain over some crushed ice. You're good to go. For anyone that's not had Smith and Cross before, it's quite a potent Jamaican rum. And it's one of those things where if there's 5 ml of Smith and Cross in something, you know that there's Smith and Cross in the drink. So to have 120 ml per serving, it's quite the punch.
It was one of my biggest sellers. It was. I did when I revised the menu. I turned it into more of what do you call it? Like a travel brochure. And obviously I did a zombie, which wasn't on the original menu. A zombie. But I thought, you know what, let's go authentic. Don the Beach kind of version. And I actually had to put for the hurricane 1 serve per order, and that was it. So you couldn't have you couldn't just carry on ordering hurricanes. It's like saying that not many people do know what Smith and Cross is. Like, oh, is it very strong? Yeah.
Yes.
I had 120 ml of this. So
I think we drank more than one each that tasting session.
I think we were pretty close to running out of Smith and Cross. We only had about 2 bottles in the bar.
Yeah. I think we almost have to limit ourselves sometimes just to play it safe. If you've only got 4 bottles in the building, you can only get through up to 4.
No.
My Smith and Cross intake is probably unhealthy, shall we say? We'll leave it at that. Unhealthy.
I don't think anyone has it as part of their 5 a day as well. That one.
I do. Does it not count? I've been lied to.
Depends what Smith and Cross will do to get some listings, isn't it? What was it? Did we have Smith and Cross, or was it a rum bar that Andy, that you and me had when I did that filming a couple of months ago?
Oh yeah, it was rum bar overproof at like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Nice.
And it wasn't
good. That was good.
It wasn't a small measure. Dave just poured it out into some rocks glasses.
No. I didn't pour it. You poured it.
Oh, did I pour it? Oh.
Yeah. Because I thought I didn't realise it was the overproof. Just thought it was just a rum bar. Because the rum bar label, it's blue for the overproof, but green for the 40%. But it's like a sliver, isn't it? You can't. It's not an obvious thing. So I was like, oh, Alton. Oh, Jesus. 3, 2, 1, and you're live. Shit.
Yeah, that's when I was trying to do a stock take and you were stood in the middle of the bar filming. Not helpful.
Yes, to those having Smuggler's Cove, so don't blame the messenger. I was just there to look good.
Oh no, well, not at that time of the morning.
Drank a lot of rum the night before, I can remember that. And tequila.
Oh God.